Hello, I'm Daniel with Sanwa, and I'm here today to train our Sanwa sales reps on how to set up our TXV merchandiser for our customers. So the first step is when you get your gondola or your shelving for your merchandiser, you want to make sure you have a 4-foot wide section. You don't want to show up at the customer site and find out they only gave you a 3-foot section, because that's not going to be enough to fit all of our products. You're going to set up the base first, and then you're going to set up one shelf at a time. I would move from the bottom up. Bring a tape measure and measure on the side. And for this TXV merchandiser, each shelf should be 8 inches from shelf to shelf. So you'll measure from here to the top of the shelf. It might be 8 1/4, it might be 8, but approximately that. Then once you set this shelf, measure the other side as well, because it's very common you'll be 1 hole off when setting these up. The next step is to lay out all of your materials. So we have shelving strips, we have a magnetic hook that will hold up our laminated sheet for the universal TXV lay-in configurations. We have the header signboards here. We have some mounts to mount the signboards. We have the shelf dividers here. And then we have all of our various cardboard options that have the labels already applied to them. The next step is to lay out your shelving strips in order. Step 1, step 2, R22, then the 404A without the 14F here on the end. Then below that is the one with the 14F. That's easy to get confused, so pay attention there. The 134A, and then step 3. You might have 2 different kinds of front shelving attachments. This one you'll see is a plastic front that you can slip the shelf strip in behind it. The other ones will just be a bare front. So for these, you can either pry it open with your finger or use a pocket knife to pry it open. And you'll insert the shelving strip in here and then slide it all the way across until it's in. For these bare shelves, what I do is I lay it in front, and I put the bottom side in first, and then I start at one end and I just push this top part in so that it snaps into place. And you'll feed it all the way down like that until it's inside. You notice with these in the future, we're going to use a better material. The first print we have of these is an adhesive with a backing on there. Leave the backing on for support. We do not actually want to adhere this to the shelf. All this is doing is laying in the shelf. So you'll lay it in like that with the backing in place. You might get a wrinkle here in the middle where the backer has a split. So just pull that apart and understand that once we consume this first print run, our future products are not going to be an adhesive. They'll be a little bit thicker canvas style material, so you won't have this problem again. Now that we have our shelving strips installed, let's move on to the header boards that go at the top. Lay these out so that you have the 3 simple steps one on the left, the residential AC header on the right. And you'll notice we have 2 different styles of mounts for these. We have the magnetic style and we have the clip-on style. In the future, we're going to standardize on the magnetic style, but for right now, we're going to use what we have. So whichever one ships with your product, let's use that. I would recommend putting 2 of these mounts on the wider board and 1 of the mounts on the sideboard. You'll notice that this is a thin printed sheet that's on top of this backer board. So just be mindful of that when you're putting this on, to try to not peel this up. So what I like to do is put it on at an angle like this, so the front side is on first, and then you push it until it snaps on, and then you work its way up like that until it's on there firmly, and then you'll get the second side as well. So when it comes to mounting the headers on here, this top shelf here is how these clip-ons will work. So you'll put it right about here, snap it on front and back, and you'll check the alignment over here to get the left and right so that it's centered well. For the magnetic ones, it'll snap into place just like that, and then you might snug it up here so that you don't have too big of a gap between the two header boards. In the future, once we have all magnetic mounts, you can even try taking this off of here and instead mounting it directly on the shelf behind the boxes to bring the visual just that little bit closer to the customer. Next step is we'll snap on our sheet on the side with our magnetic hook. So you can take this guy, hook it in through here. Snap that on the side right there. The next step is assembling these boxes. There's a few different sizes. These are the 3-inch width. These are the 4-inch width, 8-inch width, and the 12-inch width. The way that these go together is there'll already be a label applied. You have the tall side and the short side, but they're symmetrical. So you'll fold the sides up. You'll bring these legs in like this. And then this comes up and over, and these tabs will go down and snap into these holes. Same exact thing on the short side. As you assemble the boxes, you can place them in their correct location on the shelving. You should have a printout of the tutorial as well that I sent you, and you'll notice on one of these later pages there'll be a full-size image that will show where these go. And if that's not clear, what I personally like to use is this Excel table, and it has a text reading of where each of these go. So it'll say pick for the ones that have the picture. So like this one would be a picture, this one would be a picture, and then this one would be a normal one. And so follow this printout Excel table to make sure that you have them in exactly the right orientation. You can see the part numbers listed here. And then down here, this 4 means that it's a 4-inch wide box. Over here, this 8 means it's the 8-inch wide box. All of the boxes where we expect the customer to pull product out of the box will be free moving without any adhesive on the bottom. For all boxes where they are not pulling product out, we have these adhesive strips on here. So you'll have to pull the backer off of each of the adhesive strips so that the adhesive is exposed. Then line this up so that it's nice and square. Set it down, and then reach inside and push down on the adhesive to make sure it bonds to the shelf and anchors that box in place. You can also reference the written tutorial, which will show the specific boxes that will have the adhesive on them. You'll notice that all the boxes on the left-hand side of the merchandiser will have adhesive, so they'll be locked in place. On the right side, though, below the top shelf, these will all be loose so the customer can pull them in and out of the shelf. However, that will allow the boxes to potentially walk off the right side of the shelf, which we don't want to happen. So once you have all of the boxes set up, we sent some shelf dividers that you can use. So peel off this adhesive backing on the bottom, and you'll orientate it this way and stick it down right here. I would set it back a little bit, that way it's not too visible. Maybe have the front of it right by this rear set of holes, and then go ahead and set it down where you need it and press down to hold it into place. You'll also see on our diagram that I have shown in orange here where all of the dividers should be on the shelves. If you need to break down these boxes for shipping them again, I like to use a paint can opener, because that makes it easy to get these tabs out of these holes. What I do is I turn it up this way, and you push it inside of there, and then you pull it out. So you're grabbing this tab here, and you're pulling it physically out. That way this will come undone. And then you can lay it out flat if you need to ship all of these boxes somewhere else. That should wrap it up for how to assemble our TXV merchandisers. If you have any other questions or feedback, suggestions on how to make it better, feel free to reach out to me by email or other methods. I'm always looking for ways to make this better, and I'm always updating our documentation so that you have the latest information. Thanks.